Hey there, YouTubers. So in this video, we are going to install the Ryzen 3 3100 onto this AsRock A520m ITX motherboard. Now, we're also going to add 2 sticks of this Patriot 4133 megahertz RAM, this Samsung EVO 960 Pro. It already has the operating system on here and pretty much every driver this thing's going to need, and a PNY XLR8 GTX 1650. So I'm going to build this up. It's going to go on the test bench. You guys, won't see it after that point, but that is all we're going to do in this video. Let's start with the CPU, folks. Now, I have not used this 3100X, so it will have the thermal paste on the CPU cooler. Now, some motherboards give you nice indentations of where to line things up on the lower left part of your CPU. These guys do not do a very good job. So that's one thing I like about Intel, I will tell you, over AMD. A lot easier to tell what's what. So for me, probably not the best way to do this. I know the N is always next to our arm here, right? So I'll line that up. Now you need to make sure this thing is seated good, all right? So it's not moving around side to side, up and down. It's in there pretty good. And I'm gonna, put a little bit of pressure on here, make sure it's sitting in there. Then we're gonna lock that back down, okay? So it's in there and we're good to go there. Now, we're going to use the stock raised cooler. This is not the best one in the world, but at least it's easier to install. So we've got to do a couple things here to get this ready. We're going to have to take these screws out, and you'll want to make sure that you put this aside, because guess what? There's a good chance you will buy a better CPU cooler, and you may need these brackets here as well as the screws. Now the RGB Wraith cooler that comes with the 3900X, which we also have on the channel, that has, for that cooler, it uses these brackets. And then some will use the mounting plate. So you just got to be careful. All right, so mounting plate is in still, and just so you can see it, you want to make sure you hold on to your mounting plate that comes with your AMD motherboard. All right, let's put this on. Now, we're thinking about our cable, where it's at. We want to put this at the top, which also means as you're looking at this, AMD is right side up. But in this case, you can't do that, right? Which is annoying because the mounting pattern is not Intel. So just so you know, I'm an Intel guy. When I switch over to AMD, it drives me nuts. They do things, odd, but thermal paste on the back. And we're going to just put this in. So putting the CPU cooler in, if you put it in like this, you're going to have issues with blocking this RAM slot. So you want to go 180 degrees to it and end up here, all right? And that will allow you to put the RAM in. So I'm going to put a couple threads in on each side of this. And then I'm going to just double check that we don't have issues, okay? So, yep, there's clearance. So that's good. In a second, we'll put the RAM in. So I'm going to go around and tighten these up. Now, interesting enough, with an Intel would be left to right going this way, and you could read it. So one thing I, didn't show you guys, I'll pop this back off. I somehow missed it in the recording. So you want to make sure all 4 of these are nice and tight, not, over aggressively tight. This will allow the thermal paste to spread over the CPU and the CPU cooler between those two. Okay, so of course we need to attach our connector for the CPU cooler, and in this motherboard it's this one, and it can only go on one way, so make sure the groove, basically this protrusion fits in that groove, and boom. And then we'll try and do something with this cable to make it look prettier, hopefully. All right, so what else? Let's do RAM. I think we covered everything. This is on nice and tight. Now RAM, one side is shorter than the other. Make sure on your motherboard that you do that. And because this is a AsRock, only one side does this deal, right? So you have to make sure those are back before you try and put your RAM in, and line these up into the slot. And this RAM, I love this RAM for speed, but these enclosures actually pop off. So it looks like that's in there. Nope. You always want to hear that snap, folks. And then take a look at it, make sure it's seated good. If your RAM is not working, you will not get a computer to boot up. So it's a lot better, obviously, not to do this on a box like I'm doing. Hence, I have to apply enough force to make sure these are in there good. All right, so they're good. Now, I also need my antennas. Since this is going on the test bench, I'm going to go ahead and do that now so I don't forget it. I say I need them. We'll probably have an Ethernet cable over there. This just finishes up what we have in case I don't have an Ethernet cable available. Now my thumb drive, does not look like they included a screw. Excuse me, the screw's probably in the bag. So sometimes you'll have a screw already sitting in there. We drop that in like that, and then this is best, folks, with a magnetic Phillips screwdriver. I think this is a number 1. Then you just line that up ahead of time. And hopefully that'll stay down there. All right, so finally I'm going to put the graphics card in. And then I'm going to walk this thing over to the test bench, and I'm going to call it a day after that, folks. That will be the end of the video that you're going to see. And this should fire up with no problem. Hey, thanks for checking out my video. Look for lots of gaming with this CPU as I try and see how good this thing is for gaming, low-end gaming. I don't know that we'll go with like an RTX 2070 Super ever with it, but we will try the 2060 Super, probably the RX 5600 XT, maybe the 1060 RX 5500 XT. I've got a GTX 1660. Well, we have the 1660, 16 Super. Well, I have a 1650 Super, and we'll do all those. Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Please like, please subscribe. Thank you.